Hello and welcome to this Quixel texturing tutorial. Few people have asked me for this on YouTube over a variety of my kind of little test videos, so I thought I'd create a quick tutorial just to go through some of my workflow and how I create realistic textures and models for Unity and Unreal. So hopefully in the background there is a little fire extinguisher, and that's what we're going to be modeling today. So I'm just going to show you a quick turnaround of this, and then we can get right into the tutorial. So obviously I've got Quixel installed, and it's all ready. So as it just loads, and then I can show a quick turnaround of this. So as you can see here, I've got a few kind of effects on at the moment. So I've got a clean white kind of rendering post-processing effects, and I've also got a bit of snow and stuff like that. Obviously you can take that off if needed. So it's kind of more like a clean kind of interior fire extinguisher. And obviously we can take off the rust and stuff if it's not up to kind of, that's up to you whether you want it there or not. Okay, so going straight into my modeling software, which is Maya. A few things that you will need to create first, so is the basic model. So here I've got a triangulated mesh, which it's fairly low poly, around about 2000 tries or 1800. And we've got kind of a nice kind of curve up here, and obviously the tube kind of follows quite a nice curve. It's a bit square on these edges, but that should be fine for a small prop like this. So yeah, a few other things obviously you will need to create in order to get the best out of Quixel is a ambient occlusion map. So this looks for all the close kind of bits and puts a really nice kind of contact shadow where obviously the contact shadow will be. It does leave a seam, obviously where you left the seam in your texture or in your UVs. This is easily painted out in Quixel though, so don't worry about that. Another thing we will need is a color map. So this basically tells Quixel where to put each material. So like for things like this purple is going to be a black plastic, and obviously the red is going to be a red metal, and the blue is going to be a silvery metal. And the other thing that you probably will need to do is a normal map. So you can see here I've put a few numbers, a bit of a texture or a bit of effect for a screw and an indentation, a few screws there, a little indentation there and an indentation on the bottom. So how do we kind of get this set up in Quixel now? So if I create a new project, so if I close down this one, no, I don't want to save it. Okay, that's closed down everything. So we're going to load up Dedo, which is the little orange button there. We're going to load up our mesh, which is just all in here, which is an FBX. So I normally file, export selection, and then just save it out as an FBX. I normally try and triangulate it before, just so there's no problems, and your game engine will triangulate it anyway if you're importing it into Unity or Unreal Engine 4, which will be the majority of you. So I'm just going to load up the mesh. That's fine. One of the UVs is just slightly off the grid, but that's fine. We're going to load up a material ID, which is your color map. So to create this color map, I just imported the UVs into Photoshop and then marquee selected over parts of it and just filled it in with a base color. This can be done a variety of different ways, but for a mesh like this, a really simple low poly mesh, it's easier just to import the UVs and just do it like that. So I'm going to load up that. The normal map, again, this was done in Endu, so self-drawing it over with brushes and then obviously transforming that into a normal map. And then the ambient occlusion map, we're going to load up the AO. So this was done in Maya using Mental Ray. Lots of different ways obviously to do that is, you can transform it in, you can import it into XNormal if you've got a really high detailed high poly, and do it that way. But Mental Ray works fine for kind of low kind of poly meshes like this. So let's get into importing this again. So there's a few kind of options here. Resolution, I'm going to turn this to 2048. This is just going to put the size down a bit, and I'm going to import it into Unity 5. So I'm just going to select the export target down here to Unity 5. You can do Unreal Engine, Toolbag, a lot of stuff really, Unity 3 even, so that's fine. We're going to use Unity 5 Metal in this workflow, and we're going to hit create. So in a short while now it should reboot Photoshop and load up our project, and there we go. So we've got a blank project now. We're just going to load up the mesh kind of viewer, and I'm just going to put this down here. This is kind of how I like to work in 3D. So turn on the headlights so we can see what we're doing. So you can see it's imported everything, the normal map detail there, and the ambient occlusion detail, which you can see kind of flickering on and off. Awesome. So now we can create the materials. So first off, I'm going to add a black plastic to the tube. So if we go down here to plastic, I'm going to load up quite a clean one. I might do the polymer, or which one shall we do? Yeah, we're going to use the polymer black because we want to keep it quite clean, because we're going to add a bit of snow and stuff onto it and a bit of dirt anyway. So now you can see it's gone over the whole kind of the mesh, which we don't want. We just want it over the tube part here. So we can use our color map and mask it by pressing the little square onto the correct part. So I think the color was purple, and that should just mask it over the purple kind of selection. The normal is quite kind of low res on this, so if we load back into here and turn the scale down, the normal map will get a bit smaller and it looks a tiny bit better now. There we go. So that's kind of our first material on there. So let's get the next one. So I'm going to go for a metal, painted metal, and let's see what there is. So we could add like a tiny bit of rust if we use this abandoned car material. I'm going to go with this painted metal. It's got a bit of edge wear and a bit of kind of dirt and stuff, so that'll look fine. One thing that we will be adding is some decals as well. So like in the version you saw, there was a sticker over the front part here, and a few other bits. So the inside of here has a little thing for the valves and the little gauge pressures and stuff. So obviously it's the wrong color. This metal, we want it to be red, and we also want it to be over the main kind of body. So we're just going to set the mask again and set that to red. So that'll set it over the red part, which is great. It's done exactly what we want it to do. Now we're going to change the albedo color so it becomes a kind of deep red. I'm just going to make it a tiny bit brighter. Best part about working in Quixel, if you don't like something, you can literally just change it. So this will make it more of a pink. Kind of don't want that, want it quite dark red, desaturated red. That looks pretty good. And I kind of like all these little dirt and scratches on here. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to add our third material, so exactly the same kind of workflow, exactly same steps. We're just going to add the metal plate. I think this is one I used last time, and cover all these little little metal parts. So again, we set the mask onto, I believe it was the blue, kind of light blue colour. And that's going to set all these to the metal. So you can see it's already kind of looking like a fire extinguisher. And now we just need to do the interior bit here and the glass. The glass won't be see-through. So we're just going to add a dirty glass effect kind of to this. So it won't be see-through as of yet. We will have to edit that in Unity. Do a bit of kind of trickery with that, really. But we can do that after. So I think that was green. If it doesn't show up, I know it's not green, so that's fine. That is the green in there. So I think that is our texturing pretty much, our base materials kind of set up. So if we go into our red metal now, and we can add a new material into this group. So if we add, if you want your kind of fire hydrant to be a bit messy and a bit kind of worn, let's add some dirt and some sand to this. So first off, you'd see it's covered up the whole of our fire hydrant with sand. That's not what we want. We want it kind of in the crevices and stuff like that. So we can edit the Dynamask here, which is this little white square, and that'll basically say where the sand can go and where it can't. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can paint it on by hand, which gives you a lot of control, but is very time consuming. So if I look at this now, I've got my Dynamask editor there, and we're just going to use, I don't know, sand, normal kind of sand filter, and that'll put it, on there and around the kind of edges. One thing that we do need to get rid of is the kind of seam, so we can select a brush up here, get a quite soft brush, and just erase this out. We don't erase everything, but we can just erase that out, and we can erase a bit, say on the down part here, where the other seam is, that'll be fine. Okay, and then we just hit fix seams, and it should take that horrible kind of line out. There we go. Okay, I don't really want it there either, so I'm just going to erase most of that. Okay, that'll do for this quick kind of tutorial. Okay, so I'm just going to hide that now because I don't exactly want that on there. So now we need to get a little kind of sticker, and one kind of good way of doing this is looking on Google Images just to find the one that you kind of want. So I'm going to go for this one here. Quite a high-res one. Obviously with this you've got to be aware of copyrights and stuff like that, but that for this kind of tutorial it should be okay. Of course you can make your own little decals and stickers. That's obviously the way that really you should be doing it, because you've got a lot of control of what they say and what they look like, so you can edit them down slightly. So okay, that image didn't work that great. Okay, so I'm going to try this one instead. Awesome. Okay, so we've got this kind of image. We're just going to bring it up a bit, and let's put it maybe there. Cool. So now obviously to see it on our fire extinguisher, we need to just hit refresh. That'll refresh the material, and we can now see it. So it's not in the exact right place where we want it. And obviously we've got the border and everything over. So if we move that down slightly and over to about there, that should do. Great, now we just need to get rid of a bit of the background. So I like to use the magic kind of eraser just to get rid of the background. There we go. Okay, so that's just got rid of that, and we're just going to mess around with the kind of filter type down here. It's just to make it look like it's actually part of it and not kind of just glued on there really. So we can have a few of the scratches kind of coming through, and we can set the opacity down to about 80 probably, and that'll just fade it out slightly so it doesn't look like it's just plastered on there, you know, kind of a bit. Awesome. So I'm now just going to get the size right, you know, the exact size of what I want. I think it's just frozen up on me a bit, that's fine. There we go. Okay. So hopefully it should do this now. Want to kind of edit the things, not coming up with it though. There we go. Okay. Now decided it wants to do it, so we're just going to edit the size down a bit. And we can kind of get it perfect and obviously make it look really, really good as well. So I'm just going to recenter that with just the transform and just kind of see what looks good. So now we're just going to add a bit of weathering to the sides of it. So I've got a few like metal scratch brushes which I'm just going to erase around the edges with, just to get rid of the kind of the hard line that's already there. Cool. So hopefully that should just break it up a bit. That's probably too many, but it's fine. You guys can take a lot more time and make it look really, really good. So hard edges again, just going through with like a kind of like a soft brush just to get rid of that hard edge. And it should look okay. Yeah, so it looks a bit more weathered. So yeah, we've got one more kind of thing to do. We could add the snow. So if we add a smart material onto the very top, I'm just going to type in snow and add that one. So while it creates the materials, we can obviously think about where we want the snow. So we want it probably on the top, and we just want to drag the snow all the way to the top so it gets on everything. There we go. We're going to enter the group, and it should come up with it. Yeah, the Dynamask is there. Yeah, so we're going to paint it in full shaded mode. So when it loads we can see, there we go. So I'm just going to go for, I don't know, the good thing is you can kind of mix and match which one, which kind of Dynamask you use. That looks okay. Shame about the kind of seam, but that's fine. Really doesn't add anything. Probably go for sand, just because it did look the best there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll just get rid of that seam. And the same there as well. And just a tiny bit up there as well. Okay. So then just going to go fix seams, and that should get rid of that white kind of line there. So just going to get rid of that one on the black. Plastic, and we're going to just flip that around so it kind of starts on the top. If we do that, there we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Bit of snow kind of on the very top there as well, and then we can just get rid of a tiny bit under there because it wouldn't really stick on there. You know, it kind of stick on the top part more. So So we can get rid of that as well. Great. So hopefully that's starting to look okay. I'm going to hit accept, and that should save it. One thing obviously that you need to do is save your work regularly. So all the time, kind of save your work with this little button. That should do great. So now we can apply a bit of like a lighting to it. A bit of exterior with a bit of snow. And we can just hit render and see what that looks like. Yeah, it looks okay. So obviously now if you want to get it into a game engine, we can export the maps and it will export them all so they look like this. So they're all kind of there. This is the one I did for the kind of show. So these will look slightly different from this one. But now we're going to go onto Unity so we can see how these can be imported into the engine. So once we've got Unity open, we can just do a few kind of little effects with it now. So I'm just going to grab the kind of light, I'll rotate it the other way around, give it a slight blue colour and turn that down to about 0.25. Make sure these lights are on important, both of them. And just apply that to a transform so it's kept nice and tidy. So we obviously want to import our fire extinguisher. So I've just saved these out and we're just going to drag it on or into Unity and it should import perfectly fine. So once this little bar is all the way there, we can see it's done it perfectly. Apart from, we need to export the glass separately. So this is just a quick little workflow thing that I do normally, so I can export the glass separately, and it should look pretty spot on with obviously what we're doing. So if we export that again and then re-import it, re-import, hopefully it should add the new mesh. If not, we can just drag it in again and it should do. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we're now going to rename this to glass and this to fire extinguisher there. So we drag this into our scene. You can see, great, we've got the model in. Now we need to apply the textures. So I'm going to put that as transparent, put that all the way to white. So this is for our glass, basically. Occlusion, metallic, and normal map. So we just hit fix now and that'll put it on. So you can see there, it's got our glass there. So if we just turn that slightly down transparent, you can see I've added like a little shattered glass effect and a bit more snow around the edges. So that should look pretty good. Now let's add the rest of our textures to this main one. And the normal map and the ambient occlusion. Great. So if we look here now, I've added a few kind of effects to this which were different from the current one. So the little decal of the pressure gauge, that was exactly the same as how we did that. And I've added just a few droplets of water just to give it a bit more of an effect, really. There we go. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful for everyone wondering how I make realistic models and textures for Unity and Unreal. The import is the exact same for Unreal. You know, plug in the materials and stuff, plug in the textures. If you want me to run through anything else, give me ideas for models you would like to see down in the comments. And yeah, again, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.